to Trout Talk here on Saga 960 AM. We talk all things Mississauga Steelheads, and we talk around the OHL. Mike Caracolitis, along with my compadres, broadcasters of the Mississauga Steelheads, Zach Bodestein and Brendan Lang. Guys, how are we doing? Great weekend for the Steelheads, but first, how are we doing?
Brendan.
Me first. Oh, okay.
Sure.
Okay, yeah. Everything's going well. I think we're at like the peak of the year for sports. We're right in the thick of everything. We got Major League Baseball playoffs going, which I know I'm excited about. I know Zach and Mikey, you're excited about it too. And the OHL started. So what else? Nothing could be better right now. We're at the perfect time. And on top of all that, the Steelheads winning 2 big games. So I'm doing pretty well. I think everything's going pretty well right now. A lot of work going on with the new morning show that I'm working on at Saga 960, but everything's going good.
Same here, boys. Busy, same stuff. Very tired today, but the adrenaline of MLB postseason is kind of keeping me awake. Obviously, Steelheads with a 2-0 electric start. People are messaging me saying, is that a reflection of Erie not being that good or Mississauga being really good? Like, what's the story here? And I'm kind of explaining to them, no, Erie's a good team. This is a team you're going to see in the playoffs in the Western Conference this year. But that Steelheads top line, that top deep pairing, and how about that goaltender, 17 years old, all looking really sharp for this team right now. So very encouraging start. Again, still 66 to go before the playoffs, assuming Mississauga gets in, but a very promising start. Probably couldn't have drawn it up any better if you were asking me.
Oh, 100%. They look good this weekend. Ryerson Leanders just named OHL Goalie of the Week, boys. 2 wins, 1.50 goals against average, 66 saves in 2 games. He got his first career OHL shutout on Friday. He looked absolutely phenomenal. The team was just electric out there. Wow, what a weekend. What a way to start. And Zach, I'm going to piggyback what you're saying too. Erie's a good team. No, this ain't no fluke. They went into Erie after a back-to-back. So you win on Friday, and then you go to Saturday into Erie. You leave early on the bus, right? These guys got off the bus, and they were just flying out there. But don't get me wrong, Erie was out there too. They were flying. They had the buzz of the crowd. They had about over 48, I think close to 4,800 people over there, and they had like a gold out, as they called it, and the crowd was really electric. But how about the crowd on Friday night at the Paramount Fine Food Center, boys? Close to 3,600 people, and it was electric. It was a great atmosphere there.
Yeah, it really was. I think, and of course, it helps when you get off to 3 goals in the first 10 minutes of the first period of the first game. That'll help the atmosphere. But no, everybody was in there, and it was a good time. There was actually quite a few people out at the tailgate before the game too, doing a bunch of different things, seeing the music. Actually, a lot more people than I remember there being last year. So that's a good sign. And of course, the hockey was good. And I think the big thing that you were talking about too, Mikey, is going on the road, coming off the bus. After beating Erie by that much, 5-0 in the first game, and really taking it to them early on, Erie was going to be angry, and they're going to come out with a ton of fight to start that game. And to be able to kind of weather that storm and then come back in the third period and win, I thought that spoke a lot to the team as well.
Very good bounce back, exactly, because you're expecting some sort of pushback. You can't roll over a team in the first game of the back-to-back and then expect it to be as easy as it is the second go-around. And again, Erie pushed back. They ended up taking the lead after Mississauga took the lead. So don't forget, it was 3-2 Otters at a point. Resilience, the depth scoring, which was something that people were kind of questioning if Mississauga has, Mikey, that showed up on Saturday. So nice to see all facets of the game. The special teams, I would say, in all capacities are really looking promising. So I love it. And going back to, Friday, can't say which teams were there, but there were quite a few NHL scouts there. Obviously with the 2025 draft after 2024, I think that's how math works. But you've got guys like Porter Martone and Malcolm Spence lurking in that top 5. So we saw quite a few NHL personnel on hand to watch those guys. First and foremost, I really think Porter Martone, it really controls the game out there, dictates the pace, does whatever he wants. So cool to see that top line of him, McDonnell, and me. So we can talk about Leanders, but to me, the dominance of that top line early in this season has been the story for this team, because a lot of people were doubting them without James Hardy, who's going to be that next man up to score. This team's too young. They're not going to get it done. But so far, lots to like about that top line.
How about that? How about Lucas Carmiris on Saturday getting that game-winning goal? And the Steelheads coming back and down 3-2, scoring 3 unanswered, and it was 3-3. Lucas Carmiras, beautiful pass from Xander Vecchia, right on the left side, and Carmiras was going hard to the net, boys. And you know what? It's nice to see Carmiras kind of get that monkey off his back in the beginning, right? And that's the sign of things to come for that guy too. Just to say, and I like that. Like you're saying, Zach, that one line is absolutely phenomenal. But they got about 3 lines that could probably score. And it's just a promising weekend. As for the special teams, we'll get to it with our next guest, with our guest. But the special teams 4 for 12 on the weekend, the power play, pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. That was something that the Steelers were actually, I mean, they were decent on the power play last year, but you bring in a guy like Jakob Fibiger, who's good on the offensive side. We saw him score in, what was it, his first shift in the OHL. We know that he has that shot from the point, and I like that kind of 2 defenseman set. James Richmond, he kind of plays with both of them, goes with the 4 forwards, also goes with 3 forwards and 2D. But when you have somebody like Fibiger and Chaz Sharp playing on the back end, I think that you can kind of get away with playing with the 2 defensemen because both of them are great on the offensive side and both of them are able to get those shots through. So I thought the power play looked really good. And again, we'll talk to our next guest about it, but also the penalty kill is huge as well, because Mississauga really struggled on the penalty kill last year. And that was a huge point where they kind of lost some games where they could have got a big kill and gained some momentum and they couldn't quite get it done. So it's good to see both sides of the special teams really working well in those first 2 games.
I was waiting for Brendan Lane to bring up the PK because he's our stay-at-home defenseman in men's league.
That's right. Oh yeah, that's me. Yep, never rush. One time I crossed over center ice and I dumped the puck and I thought to myself, who dumps the puck in men's league? That's ridiculous.
Dump the puck. Dump a chase.
Well, the PK, it's a really good point, Brendan, because what I noticed is, of course, the new personnel coming in and really helping things out. Mark Boudreau, that active stick, obviously he plays a good bottom 6 role and has a presence on this team. They got him for peanuts. And for him to, come in and be a leader on that penalty kill, a team that has needed a leader for the penalty kill, was awesome to see. Fibiger, you mentioned, playing all situations very effectively, mind you. I thought he was really good, even strength, and on the power play and the penalty kill. But for me, it was, the different sets of forwards. We know Vecchia and Misa are going to get their reps in there on the PK, but Boudreau really impressed me. And I think they're going to rely a bit more on guys like Von Richter and Harding to step up on the PK as well. Stevie Leskovar looks a whole lot faster than he did a year before. That's something we could talk to our next guest about as well. But there are a lot of good things to take away from the first 2. And again, it is just the first 2. But Mikey, I am super encouraged to see them pick up 2 victories over a good team.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, especially with that, with that madhouse on Erie. I call it, because the fans are absolutely electric, and to come out and to what Brendan said, the first 10 minutes was key to kind of keeping that crowd kind of quiet a little bit, not letting them score that first goal. Hey, the Steelheads scored the first goal, right? Kept them quiet. They really kept that crowd out of the game a lot during Saturday night. Yeah, they tried to come alive, but then the Steelheads would score a goal or do something really good, and all of a sudden, ooh, quiet, right? And it's good. That's a good thing, and that's impressive. It's impressive, very impressive wins.
Yeah, for sure. And also kind of just going on what we're saying, the defense too is something that kind of coming into the year, as much as we were talking about how are they going to be able to fill the void of James Hardy up front and scoring wise. But I think on the back end too, there were a lot of question marks of how are they going to be able to fill the role of Charlie Callahan and Casper Larson, losing 2 guys who were experienced veterans in the OHL and 2 guys that they relied upon on the back end. And we kind of thought, how is everything going to shape up? And we saw William Haley get into both games and he looked pretty good back there. Probably going to see a couple different looks with that 6th defenseman, but I thought he played pretty well. And then also you just mentioned Stevie Leskovar, who he looks like a different player. He's so strong. We know about the physicality, but then you kind of looked at the decision-making and the speed that he has. That's different from last year. That's going to help a lot. Fibiger, of course, we kind of mentioned him, and Finn Harding. We've been talking about him a lot, and rightfully so, but he even looks like a different player than last year. The first thing I noticed when I saw him is just everything that he does just seems more crisp. It seems more decisive. And I think he's going to have a massive year coming up this year.
Yeah, it comes down to confidence, Brendan. For me, I watch Finn Harding. He's taking that extra second with the puck to acknowledge, what's my next move? And, if I don't have anything there, I trust myself to get myself out of trouble, skate it out, and just make the right play, a safe play to bank it off the board. So, Finn's taking that extra second to realize that he is that guy. He's a confident player. He can do what he wants with the puck. And with Stevie Leskovar, the decision-making you already talked about with the puck, but also away from it. I saw him anticipate a few plays, especially in the neutral zone, able to break up some passes and acknowledge, if a guy's cutting towards the middle, to get himself in the way, use that reach to his advantage. So smarter defensive instincts. And when you're a lot quicker on your feet, which it seems like Stevie is this year, that's going to go a long way for him too. So far, so good for the Steelheads D-core.
Yeah, how about the play of Adam Zidlicki as well,
True.
right? Adam Zidlicki has been playing great the last couple of games. He up and down the ice, he was kind of like, a little of an antagonizer out there. He was getting a good hit and getting under the skin of the Erie Otters. He had a couple good scoring chances as well. He looks like he's really starting to feel comfortable now with Mississauga. When he came over from Kitchener last year, yeah, he showed flashes and stuff, but now after 2 games, he just looks totally comfortable, and it's a good thing to see. And the defense is really good. How about Jakob Fibiger, guys? I know we talked about him a lot. I mean, he looks really comfy back there. But he played a lot with Chaz Sharp, and he's getting a lot of ice time for a rookie defenseman, right? Coming over from Czechia, and he looked absolutely phenomenal. Here's a guy that's going to look he's got that skinny, that skinny look and stuff like that. Wait till he fills out. And start, when he starts pumping at the gym, he's going to look like like Parker Von Richter did at the beginning of the year last year, and then Parker Von Richter halfway through the year. He just grows muscles, right? And I think Fibiger is going to be the same way. And he's just going to get better and better. This defense is looking good, but hey, your goaltending is as good as your defense too. So everything right now clicking after 2 games. Good to see, and we'll see what happens after this week coming up.
I know, Brennan, you wanted to jump in, did you not?
Oh, no, I just wanted to. Sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to. Yeah. Sorry, I guess my brain's mush. Talking about Zidlicki there. Yeah, I wanted to mention that too. We know about the great speed, of course, and all that he possesses. But I did like kind of the getting under the skin a little bit, like Mikey was talking about, kind of playing a little bit of a different role. I thought that was really kind of something that adds to what he already brings.
Yeah. I think, extracurriculars, they have their place. If you're just doing a little bit of showing you're in the game a little bit. This is something guys like Brad Marchand do. Ryan Callahan did it too. Guys they're not trying to really start anything, but they're letting them know they're there. And if it's a little tap after the whistle, getting a little too close to the goalie after the whistle, I'm all for that. If you're not taking penalties, I'm all for that. And I think we saw a lot of that from Adam Zidlicki, just rubbing guys out into the corner a little bit after, the goaltender freezes the puck, getting in the kind of the nose of the goalie as well. And again, showing off that speed. So it was nice to see him finish some checks, a little bit of stuff after the whistle. I'm all for that. I think Zidlicki needs a little bit of bite to his game, being a bit of a thinner guy. So, the speed, and if he adds some grit in there, Steelheads have a really good option there. We were talking about the depth. I thought the bottom 6 was a lot better than I expected it to be for those first 2 games of the season and the back-to-back with Erie. So I really like what the whole bottom 6 brought, and they've got some options there. Again, keep in mind, Dezoti only played 1 game. Del Monte only played 1 game. They've got some other guys they can get in the mix as well. So certainly a lot of options for James Richmond.
All right, boys, let's take a quick break here on Trout Talk. When we come back here on Saga 960 AM, we will have our guest. All right, welcome back to Trout Talk here on Saga 960 AM, and we are pleased to be joined now by the boss and Bill Belichick, James Richmond, JR. Thanks for joining us, and he is all business here today. Actually, he's smiling today. He must have had a good day today.
No, hey, practice was not very good today, so you might be catching me at the wrong time. So
okay. Well, thanks for joining us here today.
Hey, can I ask a question before we get going here?
Of course.
Yeah.
Why would somebody be wearing a Blue Jays jersey right before the playoffs?
I've been a Texas Rangers fan half my life, sir.
Half your life.
Yeah.
Only half.
From 14 to 27. So That explains it. I knew you would make, and did I not say, guys, before?
He did.
He
Before we came on, he said
first
that.
thing he was going to say, I called it.
Yeah, you're right.
That's all right.
Well, what do you
That's
think
all
about
right.
those Blue Jays, JR? What do you think? First of all, before we
I'm
get into
excited.
business.
I'm excited to watch. You know, it's always a long season. You know, baseball. So it's when they can get down into that run for a playoff spot, it's pretty neat to watch. And yeah, it'll be fun to watch them in the playoffs, right? I think they split the series with Minnesota in the regular season, and
Yep.
Minnesota's got a couple of key guys that are banged up, I think. So it's just whether or not Toronto can produce some runs because they're getting the pitching. So
that's what's scary. That's the key right there. Yeah.
it's not my sport, so I enjoy it. But
I'm listing
Not
on
my
all the
sport.
stuff, but it's not my sport.
yeah, it's not my sport. Who am I kidding?
All right, Jared, huge weekend against the Erie Otters. My goodness, 2 wins against a pretty high octane Erie Otters team. They pretty much had everybody there except for Spencer Sova, but it doesn't matter. The Steelheads team came together. Talk about the 2 wins. Let's talk about Friday night first.
Well, Friday's game obviously was pretty dominant in all facets. Like our goalie played really, really well. You know, Leanders played really, really well when called upon. I thought our D did a real good job in the transition game. You know, getting the puck moving. People call us a fast team, and that's a big part of it. Is how quick we can change the puck from coming against us to going against the other team. Not just how fast you skate, but so I thought our D did a real good job of that. I think we did a good job most of the night. You know, maybe the last 10 or 12 minutes we didn't defend as hard as we had done throughout the game. And then I thought we got, you know, our top line with Meese and Goose and Marty were really, really good. But the other 9 that were in were pretty darn good too. So the Friday night was a fun way to start the season. Obviously, we came out with a good start and we kept it on them. And then to turn around and go back to back in a place where it's really hard to win, we knew they were going to be pissed off and come out flying, and they did. And Leanders again stood tall for us, kept us in it, and even when we got down, we pushed through. In that game, there, I was really most happy is that we didn't win by our skill or kind of fluffiness. We grunted that out. Like Boudreau had a real strong game for us. Carmeris really bounced back, and McNeil had a real strong game. Like it was a grunt game. It was greasy. So Von Richter was great on the back end and defending, and Sharpie was really good. Other than a mistake by Finn, he was really good, and Lescavar was physical. So it was neat to win a game that looked different, if that makes any sense to you guys. But I was so happy to see us win a game like that, especially in that rink. So yeah, great weekend for the guys, and now we're getting prepared for the 3 this weekend.
JR, talk to us about the special teams, because at the beginning of the year, personnel are coming in and out, and we can get into individuals after, because I'm sure we're going to ask about some guys even that we've seen progress from last year into the first 2 games of this year. But what have you taken away from the special teams? Because I think that's something that really has improved, at least so far this year.
Yeah, so, well, it couldn't go any farther down, could it? So years past, we've been pretty good on the power play and PK, and last year I think it was a step backwards. And there's a whole bunch of different reasons for that, but I think we are paying more attention to the details of it. We have a little bit more buy-in on the power play right now because they know that the players aren't telling us which type of power plays they're going to run. And we had a little bit of that last year. It was some players wanted to run a different power play, one that I don't believe in. So they've come to realize that we're going to play this one. So we've created a lot more chances. We've created a lot more chances than goals we've scored. We've had a lot of good looks. And we're continuing getting good looks in practice on the power play, even though the PK knows what we're doing. So it's a hard one to stop. The personnel, we've got a lot of guys there that can fire a puck and make plays with a puck. So right now, early in the season, probably to the middle of November, you'll see us use a whole bunch of different guys until we can figure out who is most comfortable there. The PK really is game to game. As a coach, you start to see who's playing on their toes in PK situation, who's having a good night on your side of the red line, and that's who we'll use, on the PK. So it's really about, you're a man down, so you have to get it out. You have to get the puck, and you have to make good plays with it, and you have to eat it sometimes. You're going to have to block shots, and some guys. I played for a long time, and I played with some guys that never ever wanted to block a puck, so they weren't used on the PK. So it'll probably be to the middle of November, I would say, till we really find, who's really really good at each of those.
And in those first two games, I mean, you got big performances, and you mentioned it off the top, but from Ryerson Leanders playing in both games in the back-to-back, and we talked about it a little bit in your office before the first game, but with Jack Ivankovic there, what does that rotation kind of look like between those two guys?
Well, if Leanders plays every game like he did on the weekend,
Yeah.
he'll be playing a lot. So, part of the process last year with getting Ryerson into as many games as we did was so that we could possibly do what we've done this year. So, we could tell you we have a plan on how we want these guys to run, but really it's up to them. Leanders had a real big week, so he's going to get games this weekend, and we got to get Jack in. So, we're going to use both. I mean, Jack will get his games, but let's bring him along. There's a process to it, and last year we got out of it because of necessity, really, not something that no team really wants to have a 16-year-old play that many games. But I thought he did well, and he's ready to play at least that many this year. So,
yeah, I want to talk.
It's a roundabout way to answer it, but he's
Excuse me?
going to play a lot. Leanders will play more than the other guy, I would think, going into the season, but we'll see.
Okay. Well, I want to talk about the power play. I mean, it just looks like a constant motion. I don't know if you've watched if you guys have watched basketball, right? The motion offense. Like, it's just like a motion here, over there. I was like, whoa! Like when you're broadcasting the game, you're like, oh my goodness. I even said that on the broadcast. I said, this is like a motion of like UCLA basketball, John Wooden or something. Right? It looks so good out there, and that the passing, the crisp, it's like, and so many good chances out there. I thought Sharp could have had a goal on Saturday when he pinched in there, right on the side. Just the way they moved the puck. I mean, just like you said, they're buying in. It seems like, GR, and wow.
Yeah, I think they're coming to realize that this is the way it's going to be, and we've shown them a little bit of. Lose you?
Oh, there we go.
Lost you for a second. They didn't really like the way it looked last year, to be honest with you. And in some points, as a coach, you got to try to let the players see the success and failures of different things. So we ran a different power play last year, and it didn't work. So we're going to run this power play. So
I love it.
This power play, Nick Hag had good success with it. Owen Tippett had good success with it. Cole Carter. A lot of guys that have played here have had good success with it. So we've got the skill to run this type of a power play, but it has to have movement in it. It's easy to defend a power play when they're standing around. So when there's movement on it, you're one down already, sometimes two, but when you're one down, it's difficult to cover five guys that are moving.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult to cover five guys, 5 against 4. If they stood still, it's difficult to cover them. But with active sticks and guys on their toes, it makes it a little bit easier. But if there's movement, then it causes havoc. And I think the guys are picking up on it, and they're making good plays with the puck. And we've had a lot of chances, and I think that those chances will soon start to go in a little bit more.
Yeah, you guys are working it everywhere, right? Different points of attack, putting it behind the net, low to high and back high to low. I want to ask you about some individuals, because to us, guys like Stevie Lescovar, they look a step quicker. And there are certain guys who they seemingly have been taking, obviously when you grow a year in this league, it goes a long way. It's like 5 in pro. But for us, we're noticing players who look a lot faster, a lot stronger this year. So who for you out of the returnees is looking like a player poised to have a big year? Aside from the top line,
well, that's an easy answer. Yeah. So, Lescovar worked off ice with one of the top, what do you call him, like a senior track and field guy, Matt Beachy. He's out of Cambridge, who has won a bunch of different medals competing in the senior Olympics and stuff like that for Canada. So he's been working a lot of off-ice speed work. So when you say, Zach, that he's looking quicker, faster, he is. He is. So now it's trying to trigger the brain to get going. And he's come back a lot stronger. I think most of the guys, you see a lot more commitment off ice now in the summer. Jackie Van Volsen's come back really beefed up, right? He's beefed up. He's faster. He's stronger. He's stronger on pucks. He had a tough day Saturday, but I expect real big things from him. Von Richter's a beast. He's an animal in the gym, so it's fun to watch him. So it's we've got a lot of guys in there now. I think when Fibberger's got really, really powerful legs, but that's the European side of training over there. I remember playing there, and there was a lot of foot soccer being played and different games with your legs and feet. So, but once he gets here and starts to get a little bit thicker, stronger up top, he's going to be a dynamite player, I think. So, but they've all done a great job. Ryerson Leanders has come back a lot stronger, a lot thicker. So, that first year in the league, the first year run through is kind of like it's really like a dress rehearsal for the young guys. It really is. And we've got a lot of 06s, Martone, Carmeras, Van Volsen, Von Richter, all these guys, Sherratt, Eggleton. Eggleton's a lot stronger. Yes. McGregor, they're all 06s. And now this year they kind of put a lot more time in the gym with a purpose. So they're all a lot better.
And that's kind of on the point of the returning players, but I wanted to ask a little bit about some of the new guys on the team. And Ryan Del Monte gets in the first game, doesn't play the second game. I know we've talked a little bit about Fibberger as well. Marc Boudreau, you mentioned his name too. So what have you thought about kind of the new guys coming to the team this year?
So we're still looking at some of the guys we brought in, obviously. Booty was a late pickup. So we got to give him a little bit of runway. In a couple of exhibition games, he looked like he hadn't been skating for a while, and I thought Friday night he was good for us here, and then Saturday I thought he was dynamite in Erie. I really do. He played that strong physical game. He was a physical presence all on the walls, in the net front scrums and stuff like that. So he was really good. We had Sherratt, who hasn't been in yet, but he's looked strong in the exhibition. He a little bit away right now, but he'll get in there. Witkowski plays a lot of speed, a lot of quickness. Again, he's an 07, so we'll take some time getting these guys in. Some of the new guys, Eggleton's new. He played a little bit up with us last year, so he kind of knows. He's got a lot quicker, a lot faster. Still needs some work, away from the puck like all these other guys do, but he's gotten better. McGregor played up with us a few times last year. Kind of a smarter player through the middle of the ice and knows his role and gets under people's skin and gets it out of the D zone, right? So I don't know. Fibberger I talked about. Draguska should be coming back in the lineup this weekend after being out with injury. He's mean. He's tough. So it'll be fun to watch him play.
Yeah.
Del Monte will be picked up, to see if he can get his game going. And he's kind of stuttered right now, but we'll get him back in sooner than later. But yeah, I mean, I think we're deeper than we ever have been.
Yeah.
We've got a real deep group, so they can push each other, and guys will be in and out of lineup here for the first little while.
Fantastic. I mean, 2-0, I can't ask for a better start. But what I want to know is, have you started cooking your bacon in the microwave yet? I still haven't asked you that, so now I'll ask you now. It was on my mind.
That did not work.
I got to ask him.
That did not work for me. It did not work.
Well, you didn't put it on top, like I told you. You put it. You put this underneath, and then you put a paper towel, and then you put 2 pieces of bacon, and then you put the paper towel on top, right? And you put it in for whatever 2 minutes and 30 seconds. It depends. If you put 4 pieces of bacon, 4 minutes and 10 seconds, right? Then you take it out. I'm telling you, it takes everything out. It's better. It beats chicken bacon. I'll tell you that. But just saying,
chicken bacon.
Of course it does.
I think he's more inclined to have a cup of coffee before he goes through that whole mess just to cook himself some bacon.
I'm not touching that. I'm not touching that. I'll take my time and cook it the right way. So.
There you go.
No coffee.
All right, Jared.
No coffee for me in the morning.
No.
Yeah, exactly. Me neither. I you know what? I had a coffee, guys. I had a coffee in Erie, and I was just wired up, and I never again in the beginning. I was trying to do the pregame for the for the Steelheads website, whatever, and it was like 1, 2, 3, 10 takes, 12 takes. I kept stuttering. I was like, oh my goodness. And then I looked at the guy that was doing it. It's a funny story. The guy that was doing it over there, his name was Mario. I don't know. He was part of the staff or something. And Mario was he just kind of kept putting the camera down like this, or my phone. He said, all right, last one. I said, yeah. 10 segments later, I said, I should have had a coffee. I'm like this. Anyways, coffee does it to you. Jared, we want to thank you so much for joining us. First of many, of course, we'll have you back on the show. Great start to the season, and we'll see you this weekend.
All right, boys. Thanks so much, eh? Have a good one.
All right.
Thank you.
Enjoy your day.
Bye, take care.
You too. All right, guys. That was James Richmond. We'll take a break when we come back here on Trout Talk on Saga 960 AM. All right, welcome back to Trout Talk here on News Talk Saga 960 AM. Mike here, Felitas, along with my compadres, my fellow broadcasters from the Mississauga Steelheads, Zach Bowenstein and Brendan Lang. We just had James Richmond on, talk about the weekend, talk about the players in depth, guys. I mean, he talked about the team, a lot about the team unity, and he talked a lot about the team depth this year that really got to me. I agree with him on the depth more than last year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't think there's even a question about the depth and it being deeper. Now I remember, I think Zach and I were talking about this before the game on Friday, the first game, and we were saying, like, remember last year when there were like a few injuries and we looked down this lineup and the bottom 6 forwards were like, where'd they get these guys from? Like, they were names that didn't have a ton of experience. They weren't guys that had been in the OHL much. And now you look down there and it's like guy after guy, and the names that he mentioned too, like there's so many players that can fit in these roles. Justin DeSoto, who's a veteran in the league, he wasn't in the lineup for the first game. And then you take Ryan Del Monte, who's an overager. He wasn't in the lineup for the second game, and DeSoto's in there. So there's so many different pieces and different moving parts that they can use defensively and offensively that, yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any question that the depth is vastly, vastly improved from last year.
And that's without Kieran Witkowski too, guys.
Right,
You've got options here.
Oh yeah, I mean, you look at it this way. They only played. So you look at that. They only played with 2 overagers on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
2,
Mm-hmm.
and look how impressive they look. Right. Wait till Del Monte gets his game going. When Del Monte gets his game going, there's going to be a lot of tough decisions. With this young team. All right, so let's move on, guys. The power rankings came out. OHL power rankings. First time I've ever seen it. I don't know about you guys, but. So number 1 is London, number 2 is Saginaw, 3 Ottawa, 4 Guelph, 5 is Owen Sound, 6 is the Barrie Colts, 7 is Sudbury. Our Steelheads are number 8, number 9 is North Bay, 10 is Kingston, 11 Oshawa, 12 the Sioux, 13 the new Brantford Bulldogs, 14 the Flint Firebirds, surprising, 15 Kitchener, surprising, and 16 the Peterborough Petes. Guys, thoughts on those rankings?
A lot to take away. I mean,
Okay.
the Steelheads go 2-0. They're ranked 8th. I realize they're not the only undefeated team in the league, but when you factor everything in, maybe you could put them higher. I understand Sudbury, they're going to score so many goals this year. Still have questions about them on the back end, though, and keeping the puck out of their net. That is something I'm going to watch with Sudbury because I have no doubt in my mind, once everybody's there, they are going to score a lot of goals. But Brantford, to me, I mean, they got to get their game going a little bit. Nick Lardis, coming back from Chicago camp, they've got the personnel there, and I understand that they sold all their assets to get a bit younger for this year, kind of like what Mississauga did. So I'm expecting, a hungry Brantford team for the rest of the way. And again, they've got a lot of youth in that lineup as well. Trading away Tristan Malbuff as well, tough decision, thinning the competition in goal. So that's the team that stands out to me the most. I think we were kind of on the train, guys, that Peterborough was going to take a little bit of a step back after winning the championship, after losing all their personnel. But for me, Brantford, I am a big believer in this team. I think they are on the trajectory of the Steelheads in the sense that they're young, they're hungry, and they're all kind of growing together as a foundation. So Brantford, I think, for me, is a little bit surprising, and I think they're going to be a team to watch this year.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm just looking at the rankings. I was a little bit surprised, and Zach, you kind of mentioned it there, but to see Mississauga stagnant from the beginning of the season and not moving up at all. I mean, sitting in 8th place to start the year, I can see that. I think that's a fair ranking. And then to go 2-0 and convincingly in the first few games, it's not like they're going out there and squeaking out those 2 wins.
That's right.
First game's 5-0. Second game, they score the first
5-3.
goal. They get down a little bit. They come back in the third period and win 5-3. Like that, to me, is surprising that they're still sitting in that 8th spot. But another team that I think kind of you can look at is Sudbury. They're sitting in the 7th spot. They're down 2 spots from the beginning of the season. I think that's a team that you could watch this year. Kind of similar. They got some young players that are kind of growing together. So I think that's a team to watch for going forward this year.
How about the Flint Firebirds getting blown out in 2 games against the Sioux? They got absolutely destroyed. I think it was 11-3 or something like that, and then getting blown out and getting shut out against the Kitchener Rangers 8-0, back to back. I mean, this is a team that's got a lot of power. They got Amadeus Lombardi. They got some good players over there, with Hayes as well. And man, I don't know. That's the team that surprises me in this ranking. But is there any team that you guys expect to fall that's up there right now? Like for me, I'm looking at the Kingston Frontenacs right now. I think they're, in 10th place right now. And I mean, I don't know. I think the Kitchener Rangers and the Kingston Frontenacs should be switched, if you ask me. That's my personal opinion. But Kingston in 10, guys, what do you think about that? I know they won a couple games and stuff, but they didn't really look that impressive to me. But who am I to say? I'm just a Steelheads, whatever. We're just commentators. But we have the right to say what we want. But what do you guys think?
Hey, we're asked as accredited OHL media to vote on these kinds of things. So I mean, we can have an opinion for sure. We analyze the game. Kingston, I think they lost the season opener in Peterborough as well. So
yes, they did.
Yeah, and they get Medema. Like they made some big trades. We know when you're trading a guy like Shane Wright, they traded Hache. Like they traded a lot of guys away to get a little bit younger. I really like the goalie that they have. I like their overall make. I don't think they're a contender quite yet this year. I do think they get in the playoffs, which they did not do, or did they? Yes, they did get in last year. They lost to Ottawa, right? I like them around the same spot, probably like a 7-8 seed in the Eastern Conference. I don't think they're going to contend. I don't think that they're terrible. For me, though, my biggest takeaway, Niagara put up quite the fight against the London Knights in a back-to-back, boys. Again, I know the Steelheads have Niagara coming up on the schedule, and by the time this airs, that game will have already been played. They're a hungry team. They're young. They make a lot of moves, so it's kind of hard to gauge this team. But playing the best team in the OHL that hard, again, only losing 2-1 and then coming back, I believe it was a 5-2 loss after that. But the games were played pretty competitively, and that's a takeaway for me because this team, I think, is sick of being a pushover in the Eastern Conference and in the OHL in general, and they want to make a statement. And they saw London on the schedule, and they really wanted to come out with a purpose. And yes, they went 0-2, but the way those games are played, I like to look at the context. And for me, they looked very hungry, at least to start the season.
There's going to be a good goaltending battle when those two teams play. Owen Flores, he's a good goaltender for the I was going to say Owen Sound for crying out loud for the Niagara Ice Dogs, right? I mean that guy's unbelievable in between the twine. You look for him and Ryerson Rangers to have a goaltending battle. Now watch, it's going to be 10-7. Hopefully not, but you know what I mean, right? But on paper, it should be a good game. Niagara, they're a hungry team, and they played London, as you said, Zach, very, very, very tough, and that's hard to do. But it was the first game of the season. But then they played again the next time in Niagara, and London took care of them easily. So, which Niagara team will show up? I know which Steelhead team is going to show up. The Steelheads team that's always going to be working hard, right? Working hard on the ice, JR style, boom. Exactly what JR said too. You know what? They're buying in already, guys. This power play is like a constant motion, like basketball.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one guy, woo, 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 woo. It's like woo, right? Anyway, so expect it to be a good game, and expect the goaltending battle in that one.
Yeah, I think you're right on that, and I think that you kind of mentioned it, Zach, that Niagara is kind of tired of being pushovers in the league, and they've been that for a few years now. So they kind of want to get back a little bit to relevance. Are they going to make the playoffs? I don't know. But I don't think they're going to be the same type of team where you just go in there and it's like, okay, we got Niagara tonight. We're just going to kind of roll through here. I think it is going to be a little bit different. Another team that I did want to mention on the power rankings before we get to our life tips here in a moment, I'll quickly throw this one out there. But sitting in the ninth spot, North Bay, we talked about it before the season. I think they lost quite a few guys from last year from their run. They, of course, went for it and got a lot of older players. I think in that series against the Steelheads, they had 10 NHL draft picks on that team. So obviously they're kind of moving in a different direction now. That's kind of the way junior hockey works. So I could see them probably staying around that spot, maybe even moving a little bit further down as we move along in the year.
Yeah, they got the Dominator. That's all I have to say about that.
Right, that is true.
And they just got Liam Ardsby back as well. So two big spots. All right, guys. Last thing before we sign off for episode 11 of Trout Talk, life tips. Anything happened that you'd like to share with the audience that you'd like to, life experience that you could teach somebody? Nothing.
It's usually you.
Yeah.
It's
always Mike. Mike, you got the wisdom. You have the wisdom, dude. Come on.
Okay. All right. I got one for you. So people that are driving their bike, use the bike lane. Use the bike lane. Don't drive on the sidewalk unless though, okay, if you're 5, 6 years old, 7 years old, I say yes, drive on the sidewalk. If you're over 20 years old, don't drive on the sidewalk. If you're 18 or 17, don't drive on the sidewalk. There's a bike lane there for a reason. Use it, okay? Because if people are walking down the sidewalk and then, you might get I see it. And you might get some 85, 90-year-old person walking on a sidewalk, and then here comes the bike in behind, and then the person, you never know, they might, have a heart attack or something. God forbid, right? And they have to move out of the way. And just get on the road. That's it. Simple as that. There we go. There's my life tip for today.
Now,
get on the bike lane, not the road, the bike lane. Yeah.
The bike lane. What if it doesn't have a bike lane? And then what do you do?
Well, you drive on the side, not right on the side.
Okay.
Side on the road, right? Right on the side there. Yeah. Just keep going straight. That's it.
Okay.
On that note,
go on the sidewalk. Yeah.
If you're a cyclist on the road and you want to be treated like a car, then obey the rules of the road.
Yes, that's a great one too.
Quite a few cyclists who think that red lights and stop signs are optional for them, but they're mandatory for vehicles. If you're on the road and you want to be treated like a vehicle, and act like one. Obey the rules. It's the right thing to do. Oncoming traffic isn't expecting it, so you're going to catch them off guard, and that could be more dangerous for you and other people. And you might get the worst of it if you're on a bicycle. So I would say obey the rules of the road, as we all do.
Yeah,
well
that's a great one too. So, how many times I'm sitting at a stop sign and there's like a cyclist coming from behind me, and it's like, okay, I'm turning left. And it's like, okay, they're probably going to stop. Nope, just fly right through that stop sign. And it's like, I could have just turned left right into this cyclist. That's a really good one. I think both those are great. Get in the bike lane, obey those rules if you're on the road. I like them. Good stuff.
Zach Bonestein's got a second career in teaching. That was really good. That was really good. I think if you were to be a teacher, you'd be you do very well.
I will keep that in mind.
Yes, you do very well, because once you were telling that story there, you had me very engaged. So that's well done. So anyway,
Thank you.
all right. Any other last thoughts before we sign off here, boys? I mean, there's a big week coming up ahead, right? So they got the Nag Rice Dogs on Thursday night, and then they have the Oshawa Generals on Friday, Brantford Bulldogs on Saturday. What do you guys expect before we sign off?
Yeah, just quickly here before we sign off here. Yeah, I think Mississauga, I'm not going to give a prediction of scores or a record or whatever we're going to see from them, but I just feel like it's going to be kind of similar to, like you said it, Mikey. We know what kind of style hockey they're going to play. They're a young team, so there are going to be nights where it's a little bit more difficult to get things going. They're just kind of learning on the job a little bit, but I think the intensity and the effort is always going to be there for Mississauga, so I wouldn't expect anything different. And Ryerson Leaders, we're going to see Jack Ivankovic, I would think, in one of those 3 games. You got to get him in at some point here. So I'm excited to see what that looks like as well.
And I think Niagara's going to be a hungry team. I was asked about this on the swing, what to expect from Niagara. I expect something hungry. I had guys reach out from Brantford to me leading up to this game. What can I expect from Mississauga? Pretty much saying the same thing. Look out for Fibiger. Look up for that top line. Of course, the goaltending has been a huge storyline this year. I think Oshawa gets forgotten about in the Eastern Conference. We talk about almost every team except the Generals, but I wouldn't sleep on them because they've got the personnel there to get things done. So that's going to be a tough game as well. This is a tough weekend, guys. I think this is, early on, but it's going to show us what the team's made of. The back-to-back, they gutted it out, but we'll certainly see. And I'm super excited to see what they do in this 3-3 because they're tough tests for sure. And it's the first game against the Brantford Bulldogs since December 31st. I almost said January. First game against the Bulldogs in almost 10 months. And so the team has completely changed. They've even moved cities, and it will be a fun one.
Yeah, and all 3 games should be fun, boys. All 3 games should be fun, and I'm looking forward to them all, and we're all looking forward to them all. We're all looking forward to a great weekend. All right, so that's going to do it from us here for Trout Talk episode 11. Thanks for joining us, and a big shout out to our editing guy up there, Brendan Lang. Big shout out to Saga 960 AM, of course, for helping us out. A big shout out to everyone behind the scenes. So until next time, we'll see you next Sunday at 1 p.m. For Trout Talk, episode 12. Have a great day, everybody.